My name is Jody Jermaine Lee, and this is my freedom story. When I was told about freedom class, I didn't really think much of it because there's always new curriculum circulating. But this was different. When we got into the group, what I noticed, or what was probably the most important part, was just actually getting to know the people that you labor with. There's a lot of people in the church that you see every day, you have small talk with, but you don't really have a deep relationship with. And in that group, which happened to be filled with the leaders, we actually got to communicate and talk about our past and be vulnerable, and the love and the acceptance that came through being in our most vulnerable state, the most ugly we could get. It brought us closer together through the weeks, and that was probably the most important part of the freedom curriculum that impacted my life. I grew up in Charleston, West Virginia, probably from the age of 9 to 20. I lived in Charleston, West Virginia, and that's where I'd say the bulk of my experiences and pains and traumatic experiences occurred. I was an only child. Mom was a homemaker. She was a stay-at-home mom. Cooked, cleaned, took care of everything, got my dad ready for work, and that was what my dad did. He just worked all the time. Being that he was a hard worker, my mom was kind of codependent on me because he wasn't there a lot. So through my dad, kind of getting home, being tired, doing his thing, I developed coping mechanisms. And, porn was introduced to me at an early age, like 11 or 12 to 20, I was addicted. And in addition to pornography being a crutch, when I turned 14, I drank my first beer, and that turned into liquor, and liquor turned into marijuana, and marijuana turned into cocaine, and lots of different prescription pills. And me and my friends would snort whatever we could find. It didn't matter. I didn't care. I put it up my nose, and just wasn't a really happy person. Like you could go back and watch videos or go back and look at pictures. Just wasn't really happy. And a hobby of mine was music, and that started at the age of 12. My cousin wrote my first verse, and it became a love for me. At first, it was just something that I could do, and it was fun. But when I turned 17, I really saw that I might have a future in this, and it was a thing that I could cling to for recognition or some kind of validation, like you're worth something, because it was the only thing I was like extra good at. A lot of the stuff that I dealt with, I suppressed it with my gift. I suppressed it with music. And even after being born again, like I used my music as a tool to express myself and say things that I couldn't, and it was just always there for me, kind of like a drug. When I truly gave my heart to Jesus, I believe it was that night when I was in the car and I was about to go get high, and Justin was like, "Where are you gonna go when you die?" And I had that vision of me in hell, and it was literally the fear of the Lord that brought me to him at first. And I threw away everything, and I was like, "God, if you're real, deliver me." And I just said, "I'm gonna meet you halfway." And I started throwing away my grinders and weed and whatever I had, and I went to sleep. And when I woke up the next morning, I was transformed, and I can't describe it. It was like, from that day, I never touched a drug again. Like, I never hung with the same friends. Like, everything changed. So I got reborn and dedicated my life to Jesus, and that was the beginning of my journey, and God fixing my soul and taking me through healing. In the journey, I remember vividly my mom. She just loved me, so she was all about me, whatever I was doing. And I just kept staying faithful, and I kept praying for her soul. My mom was beautiful, awesome, loving woman, but she always had a bunch of hurt and a bunch of bitterness because she was just a person that got taken advantage of. So anytime I would communicate with her, it would be a sad story, you know, a victim mentality, depression, like, son, I miss you, I need you here, I can't do this anymore. These people keep doing this and that, and it was just kind of depressing to talk to her. So I kept praying, and eventually God started to slowly move on my mom's heart and change her. And before I knew it, she was looking for a church, and she would write scriptures online and share good news with her friends, even confront some of them that were in sin. And it was just crazy. Like, she just started really getting enlightened to the gospel. And I noticed that the phone conversations went from depression to, wow, son, God was showing me this, and, you know, sending me pictures happy with the kids. And it was crazy to see my mom like that. We go down there and I see her, and I'll never forget, it was at that moment where anger entered my heart for God. I was like, there's no way you love me. Like, there's no way you're real. Because I'm looking at my mom in this bed, and literally she starts having a seizure, and her eyes are popping open, her eyes are rolling back, and I'm just watching her like shake on this bed, and just a vegetable, like no life. I can't tell her goodbye. I have no chance to have a final conversation with my mom. You know, you always picture, you'll know, and you'll at least be able to have those last conversations. And I didn't get that with mom. Like, it was just like, she's alive, she's dead. So in my journey to freedom, a huge thing that God had to take me through, a huge thing he had to reveal in me, was the orphan spirit, where you could ask my family, my now family, I would be uncomfortable in the home. Like, I constantly think I'm in trouble, and there's still times where I struggle with these things, but I would constantly think I'm in trouble, be fearful, be ready to be rejected, and in my mind ready to run far away, because I never felt at home. I moved from place to place, you know, I was traveling in ministry, doing all these different things, never felt a sense of like, this is home, you're welcome here, be yourself. And that spirit was so ugly, and it took God taking me through different ministries with different leadership that had the orphan spirit, that worked out of a place of needing approval from man, or, you know, being justified by their works, dead works in religion. You know, this whole thing that nothing is motivated out of love, it's all going to burn. And God had to reveal that in me, that kind of like, why are you doing what you're doing? And it wasn't until mom passed and the traumatic experience like that happened that I had to get real in my faith with God. And that's when I was like, I don't want to work for you. I don't want to do these things. And I noticed when I sat down and I had no opportunity to use my gift, or no desire, or no outlet to express, or I basically wasn't moving and doing all the things I was used to. My heart was at rest, but it wasn't at rest. Like, I was finally not doing anything, but that's when I noticed that I was using religion and working to fill a void. And when I finally got to sit down, it was like all hell broke loose. Like, all those things you didn't address, you did all this great ministry, you seemed powerful on stage, but your actual intimacy with God was not there. It was like very repetitious, fake prayers, reading your Bible to know something for somebody else, but not to know God. This whole cycle I was locked in, and I realized it was death. Like, the law is death. And I was just stuck in that place until God finally gave me that spirit of adoption through a family, through a father, where I was able to rest. And I didn't have to go rap. I didn't have to go sing. I didn't have to prophesy. I didn't have to clean. I didn't have to do anything. I just had to be. Like, rest. Get to know yourself. Like, spend time in the presence. Stuff that I was almost non-existent in my early days of my walk. So you can do all these fruitless exploits and be dying on the inside, and all in the name of Jesus. And he's just like, I don't even know you. And that's scary when you don't know God, but you work for him. I just remember the end of the Freedom Conference. I was sitting there with Deb, and it was like kind of winding down, and I was like crying. Like, I wake up now in the morning and I'm not fighting like a horde of demons to get to the tub and thank God. Like it was constant warfare. But I was like, now I can wake up and just be ready to take the day. Like, have a normal prayer where I'm not focused on what's wrong, what's crazy, or literally entertaining a traumatic event playing over and over in some kind of gross way. And I was like so thankful at that moment, because I'm like, God, you've taken me through this so I could break these curses. And my children, and I was like, your grandchildren will never have to go through this because of what we're walking through now. And I was just super thankful, because nothing is wasted. Nothing God takes you through is for no reason. Your crushing, your suffering has an assignment attached to it. There's some people I'm going to be able to talk to about mental illness and different things that sounds crazy to some, but I will be able to tear up and relate to that pain. And I'm thankful for that I'm accepted through my pain. It gives me a hope to not be afraid of the next season of my life, because I'm less than 2 months away from marriage, and my dad just moved in. He's finally getting restored, and there's been a lot of doubt and a lot of things that's tried to come against me, but I know that I don't have to have fear. I don't have to worry, because God is in control, and if he delivered me from the lion and the bear, and he'll deliver me from whatever else comes, whatever giant comes to my door. I know that now I'm walking in an authority and a freedom to take territory and to continue to press forward toward the higher call in my life.